city. There are things people don't question: love, money, and oysters. They say oysters awaken desire, that they reactivate what time, routine, and death slowly turn off. They say it with the same confidence you order another glass of wine or ask for a second chance, as if the world were easier when someone assures you there are still simple solutions. But I wonder, are oysters really an aphrodisiac, or just a well-told story we need to believe? In my latest culinary adventure, I'm working at a seafood bar, a small controlled ecosystem where everything seems alive, even though it's destined to end up on a plate. There are shrimp, mussels, clams, lobsters moving inside a tank that tries to imitate the ocean, as if the city could replicate nature with enough money and good lighting and a bit of imagination. But here, the real stars are the oysters. Silent, closed, mysterious, like certain people after the third date. Oysters have been eaten since prehistoric times, leaving behind mountains of shells as proof of their place in the human diet. The Romans turned them into a cultivated luxury, and over time they went from cheap food to delicacy, becoming something more than food, an experience tied to desire, or at least to expectation. An animal with no brain, they say, and yet capable of filtering gallons of water every day, cleaning what doesn't belong, keeping only what it needs. There's something poetic about that, something you wish you could imitate, especially after certain mistakes. I serve them with lemon, cocktail sauce, and mignonette on the side, an expectation in the air. Because no one orders oysters just because. Because no one orders oysters without expecting something more. It's not hunger that sits at those tables, there's a different intention there. Couples look at each other differently when oysters are involved. There's a pause, a small performance, a kind of elegant tension, as if that moment could fix something that's been slipping for a while. Because it's not the oyster, it's what people expect to happen after. They don't come just to eat, they come to recover something, the spark, the intimacy, a version of themselves that maybe got left somewhere else, in another bed, in another time when everything was easier and no one was tired or had a headache. And that's when I understood everything. Chasing that vitality, I've sometimes set out on a journey to try oysters in different latitudes. It's not tourism, it's something more personal. A quiet investigation into something you don't find on a menu. Because every city has its own character, its own rhythm, its own way of seeing the world, and that inevitably ends up on the plate. There are cities that push you and others that explain things to you. San Francisco is one of those that explains. I had oysters in San Francisco, and there's something you need to understand about that city. It's not that they're different, it's that they're explained. You're not just served an oyster, you're served context. They talk about origin, salinity, Pacific currents, and there you are, holding the oyster, waiting for something to happen, while someone tries to convince you that it already is. Everything there is clean, precise, almost surgical. The oyster tastes like the ocean, sure, but it also tastes like control, like people who take a deep breath before making a decision. And yes, they work, but they work the way everything works in San Francisco, slowly, intentionally, as if desire had to pass through the mind before reaching the body. Then there's New York. No explanations here. From the moment you sit down, you know this is something else. No introduction, no context, no story, just action. The oyster arrives cold, direct, no hesitation. No one talks about currents or salinity. They just set it in front of you like saying, figure it out. And that changes everything. Because here, desire isn't analyzed, it's executed. There's no time to wonder if it works or not. It works because it has to. Because the night moves fast, because the city doesn't wait, because everything here is immediate. Or it doesn't exist at all. The oysters taste like that, like urgency, like noise, like decisions made without overthinking. They're not more refined, but they're more honest. And sometimes that's exactly what people are looking for. Oysters have zinc. They say they help, that they stimulate, that they raise certain things in the body. Science does its part, but it doesn't perform miracles. But the mind does the rest. Because if you believe something is going to work, it already started working. Or at least you try harder. Maybe the secret was never in the oyster. Maybe it's in the ritual. Sitting across from someone, taking a pause, looking a little longer than usual, and deciding it's still worth trying. Maybe oysters aren't aphrodisiacs. Or maybe they are, just not the way we think. Not because of what they contain, but because of what they provoke. A moment, an intention, an excuse. Because in the end, it's not the oyster that awakens desire, it's desire that dares to open it.